Welcome to your Houston Rewind for February 20th through the 24th. I'm KHOU 11 digital anchor Brandy Smith. We know catching up on the news can be a little overwhelming, especially in a city like Houston, where it just doesn't stop. So every weekend, we take this opportunity to fill you in on some of the stories you may have missed. Let's rewind. The oldest living former president is in hospice care at his home in Georgia. Jimmy Carter's foundation says Carter wants to spend the rest of his life at home with his family. Carter's 98 years old. He was president from 1977 to 1981. Decades later, in 2002, he won the Nobel Peace Prize for his continued efforts to improve the lives of people living in poverty. Some of those efforts happened in Houston's Fifth Ward. On Monday, that's where Jason Miles talked to homeowners living in houses Carter helped build back in 1998.
Yeah, it's done.
A quarter of a century after KHOU covered their home's completion.
I feel like a dream.
Wade and Shalina Gibson reflect on the former president and first lady with whom they built a construction site bond.
He made you laugh, smile, and it's time to get serious, it's time to work. Hey, let's get with it. And he was real down-to-earth person, him and his wife. Love him to death.
These homes were among 100 that went up in Houston within a week in a blitz build through Habitat for Humanity, a longtime cause for the Carters since the organization's founding near their hometown of Plains, Georgia.
The biggest lesson, keep giving, keep loving, keep helping each other out, and spread the love and do much as you can to help our folks.
Like other neighbors, the Gibson family cherishes photos and other materials related to their Habitat home, which also required at least 600 hours of sweat equity from them.
I was just so excited and blessed to have my own home.
Cheryl Crenshaw lives 2 houses down and is one of 3 original homeowners on Hillsborough Street who recall the Carters like it was yesterday.
They just came here with open arms, they helped, they took pictures with us, they did things with us, they showed us things, they talked to us, they did everything.
While other visits to Houston may have been related to politics or peacekeeping,
I think Houston has turned out so beautifully.
It's the spirit of his post-presidency that Gibsons and others will never forget.
Bless all the family, and I like to say I love all of y'all, and y'all hold in there. You got prayers from all of us.
President and Mrs. Carter first started volunteering with Habitat for Humanity back in 1984. You can learn much more about his impact and his legacy in this article on KHOU.com. As your education station, KHOU 11 is excited to share some fantastic news for the Texas Southern Athletics program. For the first time in the university's history, the school's baseball and softball teams will get their own fields. Up until now, the teams played at city parks. As Matt Doherty shared on Monday, that's about to change, thanks to a commitment from the Houston Astros Foundation.
McGregor Park is where the Tigers have had to play their baseball games up until this point, but not for much longer. Construction crews are expected to break ground sometime by the end of the year. Texas Southern University has had a college baseball team for almost 60 years. But in all those decades, the Tigers have yet to play a single game on their college campus.
And they haven't had the benefit of having their own stadium. And so this partnership is going to allow that to happen.
Over the weekend, the Houston Astros Foundation gave the university a $1 million donation to build baseball and softball stadiums for its teams. The school's softball team plays its games at Memorial Park.
Obviously, we always wanted our own, and it means a lot when our student athletes can just walk to the stadium and see our team playing in the community.
Construction on the new stadiums will begin later this year, and we have yet to see the plans. It's unclear if they'll be ready in time for the 2024 season. When the fields are not in use by the TSU teams for practice or games, officials say they'll be available for use by the surrounding community.
It's a win-win situation, and we're really excited about it.
In addition to the good news about the ball fields, golf equipment supplier Ping has announced it will give $1 million over the next 5 years to the TSU men and women's golf teams. Golfers will receive scholarships, internships, and apparel through the donation. In West Houston, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
The city of Houston recognized February 21st, Tuesday, as TSU Day. Mayor Sylvester Turner presented the university's president with a proclamation at City Hall. The historically black college and university has a legacy of educating students since 1927. The NCAA tournament, still a couple weeks away, but the awards are already starting. Monday, the NCAA named the Final Four Legends and Legacy Community Award winners. Sherman KHOU got to meet these Houston champions.
Looking good and doing good. This year's Legends and Legacy Community Award recipients. The NCAA Final Four honoring them for their work. Like read to the Final Four creator, Lucy Bremen.
Now we're in not just one school district, 11 school districts, almost 40,000 students participating.
Rapper and philanthropist Bun B focuses on encouraging young people.
I didn't have a lot of help to get where I'm at in life, but I did have people that were able to speak to me.
Jessica Castillo-Hulsley improves the East End and Eastwood Park, where she's chaperoned kids on the basketball courts.
Learning discipline. So sports is a very important part of our lives.
And speaking of basketball, imagine playing it in a wheelchair. Peggy Turner focuses on athletes with disabilities, in part because she knows what it's like to be excluded.
In 5th grade, I took a basketball to school. My mother was called, sent to the principal's office. They told her to take it home and not let me bring it back because girls don't play sports.
Finally, the Blue Triangle Multicultural Association serving 3rd Ward residents. Executive Director Charlotte Bryant is 92 years young and still working. Her advice?
That you are living every day to the height that God would have you live so that you will leave a positive effect on this earth.
And this, of course, the championship trophy. But the awards given here today to honor local community leaders, well, they've got a little special shine of their own. In downtown Houston, Sherman KHOU, KHOU 11 News.
KHOU 11 is your home for the NCAA tournament and the Final Four. Check out our coverage at khou.com/Final Four. Tuesday marked exactly 4 weeks since 4 tornadoes touched down in the Houston area. 8 members of one family are still out of their home and trying to figure out what's next. Jason Miles shared they are some of the many attempting to recover and cope weeks after the tornadoes.
Both near and far. Sounds of recovery fill the air.
The sound of everything, the glass shattering, is terrifying.
But it's the tornado itself Crystal Thompson cannot forget.
Within 5 minutes of figuring out that it was headed towards us, it hit us.
She says she clutched her baby in an interior hallway alongside her husband and his mother.
My mother-in-law and my husband are covering me and the baby, and I'm just holding him. He's screaming.
This is their Pasadena rental home of 6 years before the tornado, and this is what it looked like immediately after it struck.
We very easily could have lost our lives that day.
Fortunately, 4 of 5 children were in school at the time.
My baby's crib is right on the other side right here.
But Thompson says one daughter is still dealing with trauma caused by what might have happened.
She's afraid to leave us. She said that she's worried that we're gonna die when she's gone at school. And it's just really hard.
This is drone video in the aftermath of the outbreak, which usually brings an emotional toll along with physical damage, something many other families are likely dealing with too.
Like, I wish I could just rewind time and go back right now, but I can't.
The Thompsons started a GoFundMe to try and cover what renter's insurance does not, along with the cost of hotel or Airbnb stays for the family of 8. Until their recovery is complete.
Every day, people can continue on with their lives while we're still struggling to get stability.
Thompson says she's been in touch with a number of agencies, some of which haven't responded. We have a lengthy list of resources for those still in need on KHOU.com. At Astros spring training on Tuesday, we learned star slugger Yordan Alvarez has an injured hand, though it doesn't sound serious. And he's not the only one not on the field. Jason Bristol explained what's going on in West Palm Beach, Florida.
On the first day of what's called a full squad workout, there is some emptiness.
Do you miss Yuli?
Yeah, I miss Yuli. I miss the hair, I miss his home runs. He's always clutch in the postseason.
Boy. Altuve here, same with Bregman and Pena, plus a new first baseman, Jose Abreu, replacing the beloved Yuli Gurriel.
Do I miss Yuli? Absolutely, I miss Yuli. He just is a real class act.
Yuli is still a free agent. A return at this point is unlikely. His absence noticed by the players.
Yeah, it definitely is different. Yuli was a guy that was always joking around as soon as he got here. That type of energy that Yuli brought is definitely, we miss that a little bit.
Abreu is a former MVP, expected to do more than just fill a void.
I mean, sometimes as a manager, the best things are unsaid. You know, let the leaders emerge. I don't appoint them because our leaders here are very positive guys and I have faith in them.
Everyone here knows this is the business of baseball. Hair today, gone tomorrow. In West Palm Beach, Jason Bristol, KHOU 11 News.
Watch more of Jason's coverage from spring training by going to khou.com/Astros. A Houston area nonprofit is helping strengthen the future of young girls with STEM. Tuesday, Zach Tawatari explained the impact of the program and the woman leading the charge.
Waddle and then grab.
Perfect. We can take little baby steps. Turn left, waddle, waddle.
Knowing where to go
Forward.
seems to be all the direction
I know what to do.
these girls need.
Grab the fish and then go back up.
Even though they're just in grade school.
I like coding because it also involves math and science.
All Dahlia Holmes needs is an opportunity to explore what she loves.
I think people naturally assume that boys are going to get involved in things like science and STEM or sports. Whereas with girls, a lot of times the opportunities either aren't presented or they're harder to find.
And that's exactly what founder Loretta Williams-Gurnell realized when she saw what or who those opportunities look like.
It didn't look like me, that's for sure. It didn't look like women of color. We said, how are we going to change the economics for the new majority? We have to get the skill in their hands early.
So Loretta started her nonprofit, Super Girls Shine.
If you teach a subject, I learned it for a day. But see, we're trying to teach them how to eat for a lifetime. So we have to teach them how to fish.
The foundation makes sure girls Dahlia's age and older get to meet women who are already working in science.
Deploy this model. I can use it to predict the future.
Marwa Lawick has a bachelor's degree in biochem and a master's in food engineering.
I feel like they want to be like me. They want to do something to be in what I'm doing.
Ailey Fiesty principal Kelly Upshaw is excited by what this experience could mean for her students.
Here's a road that you can go down and just giving them the opportunities and exposure because you can't know what's out there unless you've seen it.
So Supergirls Shine shows them what's possible, which should be anything.
It makes me feel like I can speak to others and be more confident.
Thank you.
In Clear Lake, Zach Tawatari, KHOU 11 News.
For more information about how you can partner with Supergirl Shine, go to khou.com/Texans Helping Texans. We have a whole section of our website dedicated to these people and organizations. A year after he was shot and killed at the Plaza Americas Mall, a San Jacinto County Precinct 1 deputy constable was honored. The county declared February 23rd Neil Adams Day. The day before, Grace White sat down with his widow.
It means a lot.
From her office inside San Jacinto's county courthouse, 1 year later, Dee Dee Adams says the county is preparing to honor her husband, Deputy Neil Adams. The county judge issuing this proclamation for his service.
He was a figure in this county and everybody loved him.
She still has the chair her husband would pull up to her desk every day for lunch.
He sat right there and I sat right here.
Adams was killed on February 23rd, 2022 at Plaza Americas. Houston police say he was shot by a suspect inside the mall who grabbed his service weapon. Body camera footage shows officers running in to confront the suspect, who eventually was shot by police. Adams says she's learned her husband had 2 encounters with the man.
They called him over once before on the same gentleman, and I guess it got handled, and then they called him back the second time.
Adams said her husband grew up riding bikes near the old Sharpstown Mall, but normally did not work there, and had just picked up 3 extra job shifts, days after his 62nd birthday.
He said it was a pretty bad area you know, that he wasn't going to sign up for that one and that Wednesday was going to be his last day for there.
And it was. Becoming a cop was a dream he fulfilled later in life, she says. He went through the academy at 52 and served San Jacinto County for a decade before his death.
It saddened him that the way things were changing towards officers. He talked about it quite often.
But this father to 3 and grandfather to 4 focused on making others laugh. And as time passes, that's what Adam says she wants people to remember.
He was a great grandpa, he was a great dad, he was a great husband, he was a great son, he was a great brother, he was, to his core, a good guy.
Wednesday, the University of Texas called for a review of its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. It's a response to a memo from Governor Abbott's office ordering state agencies not to consider diversity in the hiring process. Maria Aguilera talked to a DEI expert about the impact something like this could have on higher education institutions.
The University of Texas system is pausing their diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. On Wednesday, the Board of Regents made the announcement.
Given the clear legislative focus, we have paused any new DEI policies on our campuses and been asked for a report on current policies across all our campuses. This will give our board a chance to review the various policies system-wide.
2 weeks before, Governor Greg Abbott's office sent a memo telling state agencies that DEI policies are illegal in hiring and that it should be based on merit alone. The UT System Board Chairman says while the board supports policies that promote diversity, that the current ones have, quote, strayed from the original intent to now imposing requirements and actions that rightfully so has raised concerns of our policymakers.
Diversity policies look like recruitment programs and retention programs.
Eva Vega, a DEI educator and consultant, says audits and reviews of policies are standard practice to ensure things are running smoothly. She says DEI policies have been in place for decades to ensure a diverse pool of candidates applies for jobs and has the same advancement opportunities.
If we lower the bar by not valuing diversity, equity, and inclusion, what we do is we roll the university back 50 years.
However, if there's a full pause, she says it would have a negative impact on higher education and the workplace.
Going to get the sense that they are not welcome in the state of Texas, and that is going to have a chilling effect on their ability to recruit.
KHOU 11 reached out to other public university systems in the state to see what the future of their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts look like. We'll share their updates on this article on KHOU.com. A 12-year-old boy from Bay City is relearning how to walk and run after a devastating accident last May. The boy had a UTV, an ATV, only bigger, fall on top of his leg and nearly had it amputated. Janelle Bluda breaks down the incredible way doctors saved it.
Just like any 12-year-old boy, Christian Cruz is big into sports.
I play baseball, soccer, and basketball.
He likes baseball and is pretty good at basketball, and so is his sister. But Christian nearly lost all of this just last May outside his home.
Him and his friend were on the Ranger, as they've been on many times. And all of a sudden, my husband got a phone call and said the Ranger flipped over and Chris is stuck.
When Mom and Dad found Christian,
my leg got caught in the net and it ended up under it and then just fell on top.
The vehicle was on top of his leg.
I just remember when he lifted it up and how my leg looked.
It was bad.
Of course, his bone was, sticking straight up. A large portion of his skin and muscle was not attached to it.
Mom had to hold his leg together until the ambulance arrived at Memorial Hermann Hospital. Doctors tried to salvage what they could.
He said that there was a very high possibility that he would lose his leg.
After a number of surgeries and skin grafts, doctors also tried something else.
This is what they would wear. This fits around the neck so that it's airtight.
It's called a hyperbaric chamber, and it combines a pressurized cabin like an airplane with the inhalation of 100% oxygen.
That oxygen dissolves into your tissues and into your bloodstream, so you achieve super high levels of oxygen that you don't even need your red blood cells.
Christian did 20 90-minute sessions inside the chamber, preventing infection while healing his tissue.
It was just like giving air or circulation into my leg, sort of.
And that, doctors say, helped save his leg.
I haven't stopped running since he told me I was able to start running.
Today, he's walking and running, even competing.
I didn't think I would be doing all the stuff I can today.
Letting nothing slow him down.
Just never give up and keep going at it.
Christian's cleared to go back to normal activity. His surgeon told Janelle as long as he feels comfortable, he can try an activity and they'll make modifications if they need to. Water used to put out a hazardous chemical fire after the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, will be disposed of in Harris County. Concerned residents reached out to KHOU 11 and county leaders wondering where exactly that water is going and whether there's a threat to neighbors. Gerald Harris got answers Thursday.
The horrific train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio has left many residents devastated, wanting normalcy again after dangerous chemicals from the train filled the air, soaked the ground, and displaced families.
I just hope everything clears up and goes back to normal and everyone can have their normal lives.
Dozens of train cars derailed in early February. Crews collected as much of the firefighting water used as possible to help prevent and limit environmental contamination. And that water is coming here to Harris County.
Coming from Ohio and is being processed at a facility in our industrial district.
That facility is Texas Molecular, a Deer Park company that's been in business for 40 years. In a statement confirming the movement, Texas Molecular says they were chosen based on their capabilities. They say we lower risk by having no discharges to groundwater, no discharges to surface water, and no thermal processes. Our technology safely removes hazardous constituents from the biosphere. Deer Park's Mayor Jerry Mouton wants to reassure the public.
Very confident that it's being handled appropriately, and again, it's permitted through the EPA. The TCEQ is aware of it. So this is what this facility does and has done for 40 years.
We have full statements from the county and Texas Molecular on KHOU.com. More from Judge Hidalgo in a few minutes. Pappas restaurants are fighting to stay at Hobby Airport. 4 concepts, including Pappasito's Cantina, are at risk of shutting down if the city approves a new concession contract. Thursday, Jason Miles went to Hobby to get both sides of that story.
Keep Pappas in Hobby. That's the sign on this marquee as the Houston staple fights for survival here. But Mayor Sylvester Turner says it's all part of the process. Amid the relative hustle and bustle at Hobby Airport,
our flight from New Orleans, we missed it and we ended up in Houston.
There's often time to slow down with a sit-down meal.
It's really good. It's really good.
And some say local flavors like those served by Pappas restaurants are nice to find.
And for someone who's passing through, they kind of get a taste of what Texas is.
But all 4 Pappas concepts at Hobby are at risk of taking flight if the city council approves a new $400 million plus concession contract, already recommended by a committee to go to Spain-based Arias SAU, although featuring local restaurants as well.
When people walk in and they see Papado, they know that they're in Houston. When people see Pappasitos, they know they're in Houston.
Robert Rydell oversees the food and beverage operation at Hobby for Pappas restaurants and 4 others, and spoke before the city council this week along with CEO Chris Pappas. This petition, with thousands of signatures and a new Save Our Pappas hashtag, are also getting attention.
We were very encouraged yesterday at City Council to hear that all council members decided to place a tag on it and take some time to slow down and to have the opportunity to review the information.
The bidding process began before the pandemic and included 3 calls for proposals, finally narrowed down to 2 entities out of nearly 10.
It is a competitive procurement process, and we are obligated to follow the competitive procurement process, no matter, and you know I like Pappados.
Pappas believes not only are local favorites at risk over this deal, but potentially Hobby's 5-star Skytrax rating. In a lengthy statement from the mayor's Office of Communications late this afternoon, it accuses Pappas of spreading inaccuracies and says the new contract would increase local flavor here at the airport. You can read that in full on KHOU.com. Meantime, the City Council could vote as soon as next week. At Hobby Airport, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
Rodeo season is here. If you're a rookie or just not a regular, Tiffany Craig has the info you need and some tips about how to get to NRG Park.
Once your boots are ready to roll, it's time to get to Rodeo Houston at NRG Park.
So here's the deal. If you drive yourself, it's going to cost $25 to park. One parking option is the yellow lot. That's off South Main. That's also where ride shares, Uber and Lyft are dropping off and picking up passengers. You can also park at the old Astroworld site. It's called the 610 lot. Shuttle over. Also the OST 1 lot. That's Old Spanish Trail. You can catch the Metro Rail for $2.50 round trip, or you can take a Metro bus from one of 7 different park and ride locations, but the prices do vary. Okay, I have my hat on, so now let's talk about getting in. For $25, you can get in and see the concert and the rodeo. And there's a really good lineup this year. But let's say live music isn't your thing. You can still get onto the grounds for $20 for adults and $10 for children. This gives you access to everything inside NRG, the arena and the carnival. There are more than 80 rides this year and dozens of food stands. I know I just gave you a lot of information, but you can get it sent directly to your phone. Text the word rodeo to 713-526-1111 and we will send all the information back so you have it in the palm of your hand. Tiffany Craig, KHOU 11 News.
Before the rodeo gates open on Tuesday, take a look back at everything that went down at Energy Park in 2022. From the crowds to the concerts to the food, rides, and games, and the rodeo itself. Our KHOU 11 Plus special is streaming now wherever you're watching this. For this week's Hidden Gems, we're taking you to a place where you can seriously unplug. So if you've been looking for a place to get away, check out this spot in Liberty County. Yeah, we're not in Houston anymore.
About 60 miles from the George R. Brown as a reference point, right up Highway 59.
That's where you'll find the retreat at Artesian Lakes.
It's East Texas, and East Texas is considerably different. Huge trees.
And on this property, 5 artesian wells that produce crystal clear water.
When I say flow, we don't pump. There's no pump, it just flows almost 1 million gallons a day. That's what feeds the lakes.
The chain of lakes. Generations ago, that's what this property between Cleveland and Liberty was known as. Jimmy Smith's family bought it in 1932. He took over ownership in the 80s when it was just a campground.
We decided we just didn't want to do that anymore.
The former dentist overhauled 100 acres, turning them into a place where companies can bring employees for retreats and where families can unwind and reconnect.
Good old-fashioned stuff where people spend their time together.
The property has a couple dozen cabins on it, and they range in size from one that holds 18 people to those that hold just 2, like this one. It's called a romance cabin. You might see why. There's the king-size bed and a 2-person jacuzzi tub. Every cabin is built lakeside, so visitors can fish right off their porch.
And it's all about nature. So it's hiking, it's canoeing, it's boats.
The list goes on. Kids can catch their first fish in this pond stocked with bluegill. There's a pool to cool off in right next to the swimming lake, and the restaurant serves up dishes with a side of wildlife.
A large dose of Mother Nature.
That's what keeps visitors coming back.
It's really not unusual to have a guest come in and say, we've been coming here for 25 or 30 years.
Some decided to stay here permanently. The property's about 500 acres altogether, and since the resort only takes up 100 of that, Smith opted to sell lakefront lots.
They have really nice homes here.
A few of those are available to rent throughout the year as well, so if you're looking for an escape from the city,
this is different.
Have a hidden gem I should check out next? Just email me at bsmith@khou.com. But if you're looking for places to explore, I can help there too. At khou.com/living, you'll find an article with an interactive map so you can scout out where to go and when. Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo is upset about what she calls a communication breakdown. In a surprise press conference, the judge revealed some of that toxic water from the Ohio train derailment is already in our area. Stephanie Whitfield shared what else we learned.
We now know the first shipment of 500,000 gallons of wastewater is already here. And Judge Lena Hidalgo says another 1.5 million gallons are still on the way. The water is being brought to Harris County to be disposed of by a company called Texas Molecular. It's near Deer Park and says it's permitted to handle these types of materials. Despite the involvement of the state of Ohio and the TCEQ, the judge says she's concerned about the potential health impacts. In a press conference last night, she also said she's frustrated her office wasn't notified and she learned about it from the media.
There's not a statute, there's not a law that says that our office has to be made aware when there is hazardous material. Now, is it okay for there to be an international disaster in Ohio that has an explosion of this magnitude, and for us to suddenly learn that those same materials have been arriving in our community for a week, driving through our community? I don't think so.
The company, Texas Molecular, told KHOU 11 in a statement, "We are chosen based on our capabilities, experience, and unique ability to handle a project of this size." The mayor of Deer Park also tried to reassure the public, saying he is confident that this is being handled appropriately. And he says this company has been doing this for 40 years. Back to you.
Some far-flung cousins with Texas roots were astounded by a genealogy search. They found out they may be entitled to land apparently left to enslaved ancestors, land those ancestors never actually got. Jason Miles traveled to Jacksonville, Texas in Cherokee County to learn more about their story.
From tiny tomatoes on street signs to concrete tomatoes on sidewalks, Jacksonville's tomato capital of the world nickname goes back a long time, as does this city's history. The area's fertile land may have drawn Albertus Arnwine here from Tennessee nearly 2 centuries ago. He died before both the Civil War and Jacksonville's official founding in 1872.
I took the Ancestry DNA test and I discovered what happened. It was just unbelievable.
Candace Hammonds claims to be the great-great-great-granddaughter of an enslaved woman named Gracie, with whom Arnwine, her white slaveholder, had children, and to whom old records and this grandson's oral history suggest Arnwine left hundreds of acres.
His family and his neighbors were not, did not approve of his relationship with Gracie because she did live in a house with him as basically his mistress.
Mary Tucker is another descendant now immersed in the story, and pushing this online petition Hammond started to try and potentially fulfill a will that was never honored.
These were court systems and legal systems that were heavily prejudiced against African Americans, either enslaved or recently emancipated.
Dr. Nicholas Crawford is an assistant history professor at Sam Houston State University who's writing a book on slavery. He says neither intimate relationships between slaveholders and the enslaved were unheard of, nor the bequeathment of land, adding that some relationships in the antebellum South may have been more nuanced than we tend to think.
And as this case shows, the kind of family lore and oral transmission of the conditions of slavery and agreements between slaveholders and enslaved people can pass down through family trees and still shape the legacies of society today.
Neither Hammonds nor Tucker, who live in Phoenix and Los Angeles respectively, have ever been to Jacksonville or Cherokee County. According to old maps, the land in question lied along the Neches River, but a lot of it may now be underwater thanks to Lake Jacksonville's construction in the 1950s. So far, family members do not have legal representation to help wade through complicated records and right a potential wrong, but it's something they're exploring.
We basically want to share this and get our support from everyone, the world and government officials. We want to turn an injustice into a justice.
In Cherokee County, Texas, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
All throughout February, we're spotlighting Black history and Black-owned businesses. Take the time to check out all the stories we've done on khou.com/ourstoryourhistory. Hope that helped you catch up on this past week and you're ready for the next one. Remember, you can tune into KHOU 11 on air, online via khou.com and YouTube, as well as by using our KHOU 11 Plus app on Roku and Fire TV. Have a great week. If you liked this, there's a whole lot more for you to explore on our channel. Try this or this, and be sure to like and subscribe.